Okay, this morning I drained this again. I had it up to 100 gallons before I saw I had a leak. There's a drain valve on the side that didn't look like the bulkhead fitting was very well seated. So what I'm going to do next, I wanted to make a styrofoam inner cover that'll go below the lip and seat all the way across on the tank.
Hello, and welcome to Carlin's Off-Grid YouTube channel. I do things differently. I'm a wanderer, a tinkerer, a nerd, and a U.S. Navy veteran. I have a motorcycle, a truck, and a school bus. Oh, and I built my house now. There might also be spaceships and stuff. I live off-grid. I'm powered by the universe. Comments are always welcome. It would be really awesome if you could subscribe.
Hey! Alright, you found me. My name is Carlin, and I've got a off-grid house here on a little ranch in West Texas. Thanks for joining. I'll show you around.
More info is on my website. You should totally check that out. Link is in the description. Cool, on with the show already.
If I put a layer of bubble wrap underneath to reflect the heat back down, and then the styrofoam on top, so the bubble wrap will make an airtight seal. Alright, starting off with the scrap that I've already got. You can kind of see it's got score lines. Shit, that's almost the right size. And this doesn't have to be a precision fit, because I've got some gaps around the edge anyway. But if I line myself up on the edge there, then I'll take my Sharpie marker. I'll make a little reference mark. Oh, I finally got a Pink Panther. Better make sure not to cut him off then. Something like that. Nice thing is it's stiff enough it'll just hold itself up. Okay, I've had this roll for quite a while. It's on some of the other videos. What this is, it's you can buy this in most of the hardware stores. Normally it's Mylar silver foil on both sides and bubble wrap in the middle. The one I bought has white on one side just because I thought it looked cool. So since it's bubble wrap, it floats, so it's just floating right on the surface. I've got about 100 gallons in here now, so it's about 1/3 full. So for this part, I'm done. Anybody who works over there? Yeah. Thank you. This is R13 with the paper facing. It's made for 2x4 walls. When it's packed, it's compressed, and then when you open it up, it does expand a little bit. Growing up, I was a huge fan of the Pink Panther. I guess maybe that's part of it. You know, when it's fluffed out, it's about as thick as your 2x4 wall, so about 3.5 inches thick. And you don't want to compress the insulation. The idea of the insulation is it holds little pockets of air, and that keeps the air from flowing around something, and so you don't have heat transfer, is the idea. Okay, I'm going to try to summarize this into a short video that makes sense that you can duplicate on your own. I have done probably about 17 hours of footage getting to this point, and it's so long it's hard to follow and it's hard to edit. So I've already built the first collector. It's 90% finished or so. It's 4 feet by 8 feet. It's based on a piece of OSB, and then I'm using common wall studs. Common wall studs are 92 inches and 5/8, so 92 and 5/8. They do it like that so that when you add the end pieces, that comes out to 8 feet, okay? Now the bad thing is if you got 92 and 5/8, You cut the first one off, you don't have enough to do the second one. But you can use those for the legs, okay? So when I built this, bottom one, top one didn't get cut. Side ones got cut, the leftover from that went into the leg. The back ones were longer. I ended up using that scrap somewhere else. Also, if you've got a table saw, that makes making these pieces easier. What that is a 1/3 of a 2x4 thickness wise to make that slat. That way you don't waste a lot of wood, and it's something that will hold the pipes in place. And then a 2x4 block on either end of that. I'm using Harbor Freight floor mats because they're dark in color and they're somewhat insulated. Okay, the sun is going to heat up the pipes. The water inside will get hot. The pipes will, through a pump, get recirculated back into this tank, which is a 300-gallon stock tank like you would use for watering your horses. I wrapped fiberglass insulation around the tank, which is made out of plastic, and then I built this box out of OSB around that, and also put styrofoam on top of the tank. So that's fairly insulated. I wrapped it with R13, which for here I think should be okay. You pump the water from the tank through the trench into the pipe, shut the pump off, let it heat up. If I run it 1 minute to pump fresh water into the pipes, shut the pump off, let it sit for 15 minutes to half an hour, the water coming out is quite warm, almost hot. Turn the pump on, run it for about a minute, that exchanges the water, puts that hot water back in the tank, pushes cold water into the coils, shut it off, okay? So once I get this all built, I'll work on things like timers and sensors. That way I can just hit a button, or just, it'll be on a timer so it knows it's daytime. Once every 15 minutes, turn on the pump for 1 minute, shut it off. Just do that all day long. By the end of the evening, we've got really hot water in there. Then, using a heat exchanger system that I'm going to be building, I can use this water to heat up water for my shower, which will be in the bus and eventually in the house. For now, what I have been doing is this system over here. I'm using a trash can, it's about 30 gallons, another pump in there. I'm circulating water from the can through the pipes and back. So I know this part works. That's the easy part. That can isn't insulated, so the water cools off pretty quickly. But by running the garden hose to the bus, I'm able to take a shower off of that same pump. All right, step 2, get the materials over here. When I bought this OSB, usually I buy 7/16. It's relatively light. This one is a 5/8. It doesn't seem like it'd be that much different, but man, it is heavy. Okay, I'll be the first to admit that using an air nailer on a project this small is just completely ridiculous. However, since I have it anyway, and I'm also going to be using the air stapler to put the insulation in, I might as well set up the air compressor and the air hose now. It doesn't take much longer, and it's fun, right? The other point I would probably throw in there, if I didn't have the air nailer, I'd probably put this together with screws. So if you got screws, that's great. Screws are totally okay. I think that nails are cheaper. I never thought to actually look it up, but I suspect nails are cheaper. Screws would probably be actually better though, so don't feel bad if you don't get an air nailer. Just put some screws in there and be happy, or however you want to put it together. Also, I'm not gonna glue any of the joints on here. You could. Some of these projects, if it doesn't turn out really good, I can take it apart again. I drilled holes on the bottom 2x4, and that's where the hoses are going to come out through. And At the time, I put the pipes in first and then I drilled the holes. Okay, now that I've got one to use as a template, I'm going to try to copy the design but make it faster. So with any luck, if you're watching this, you can learn from my mistakes. If you decide to make changes, that's up to you. I'm completely okay with that. This isn't an original idea. This is just what I came up with. If you can improve it, send me a link. I'd love to see your video, because I'll probably make more of these. Anyway, so what I thought was, on the next bottom 2x4 that I'm about to put on, drill these holes first and then make sure I don't run nails through them. I just got lucky, really, that I didn't happen to put a nail where the holes were going to be. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to drill the holes first. I'm going to match them up to these ones. And then I'm trying to get the designs to look about the same, you know. If I have a huge change that makes things better, I'll do it. But so far, this seems like it's going to work, so I'm going to stay with it. So I'm going to go ahead and set up and drill those holes, and then I can put that on the same way I just did. It's a 1-inch black plastic flexible pipe or hose. Outside is bigger than an inch. I found that if I drilled a 1 3/8 hole, that worked pretty good. So I'm using spade bits on a cordless drill here. Alright, one tip worth showing: when you're almost through, try to stop when you first poke through, right? Because what you can do then is you can drill it from the other side, and that'll make it a lot cleaner hole. Otherwise, it tends to really fragment coming out. So. That way you got a fairly clean hole on both sides, right? Otherwise, it looks like a bullet came through it, just, you know. Shoot one through the end. The hose clamps, or the hose mounts, I guess we can call them. If I make them first, I should have an easier time wrapping the hose into that. Getting that hose coiled up like that is a giant pain in the butt. I'll just say that. It looks easy, but it's not. You end up fighting it a lot. So I'm hoping if I mount the box first, that'll make it easier. Okay, I think we're ready. I've got a block here, and you can kind of see it there. So when I slide the box up the ramp, it should catch on that. So if you get around, to a shot like this, we should see the agony on my face when this doesn't work. Optimism. Oh, hell yeah. That part went well. Okay, at this point, the legs of the stand are supporting it. So I'm going to take the temporary stands out. Is the Harbor Freight floor mats. These ones were already used. I had them on the floor of the bus in the back. And yeah, I'm putting in more than I need probably. Okay, the problem is trying to get this coiled up neatly into one layer. The other two that I did are actually not 100 feet long because I kinked them and I cut off the bad part. Trying to not do that. I got a new idea I haven't thought to try yet, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to use some electrical tape and tape each coil to the one next to it and see if that makes any difference. I think that still took me an hour. This is the longest one though. I don't think I kinked it anywhere, so I suppose taping the outside helps. Yeah, the water's plenty hot, so I'm gonna just take a shower from that. So I guess I'll drain this last coil back into the trash can and start on the next one here. This piece here is 1/3 of a 2x4. So like if you take a 2x4 and cut it, so it's like that, right? So that's what that is. And then some little blocks of 2x4 there. And I put some more of the same foam as this stuff as a cushion. And I was going to put more than 2 on each, and I realized that that was plenty. So once you got it clamped, it doesn't really go anywhere. And the cushion gives you a little bit of wiggle room, so if the pipes heat up and contract and they squig, kind of squirm in there, it's not going to chafe through or anything. So on this one, I didn't run the pipes through the holes because I was still doing temporary connections. Because I had to test, I did a test earlier to make sure that the sump pump could push it through the incline, and that worked just fine. When I get the pump set up into that, which is my 300-gallon reservoir tank, yeah, that's the word. So we're going to run a 2-inch feed, which is what this big one was. That was my test setup. So I'm going to cut that down and reuse all those pieces. It'll be 2-inch from the tank through the trench over to here, and then it'll come up 2 feeds up to this pipe, which will then loop out and exit, and then it continues up to here, comes up 2 feeds up, loops, exit. By shutting the pump off and letting it wait for a while, the water gets really warm. And then you turn on the pump, flush all the water back into the tank. It pushes new, fresh, cooler water out here. It picks up more heat, goes back. All right. Some of the testing I did, 1 minute of running the pump and then wait for 15 minutes or half an hour, seemed to work pretty good. Got to save something for the next day. So, yeah, all in all, a pretty good day. Built that whole thing. Now, normally I'm not going to empty that tank. It's going to just get, that tank is just going to hold the heat, and then I'm going to draw the heat out but leave the water in with a heat exchanger. So that'll just stay there, go through the loop, and come back. Alright, that's about it for this week. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. And what else is there? Patreon and PayPal and all that other stuff. Check out the link in the description. I've got a page on my website. Gives you a lot more information about the ranch and everything I'm doing out here. So again, thanks for now, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
More info is on my website. You should totally check that out. Link is in the description. I do things differently.